Hi, I'm Max Daniels, host of the 2025 AtkinsRéalis Clean Water Conference podcasts. Episodes focuses on the topics covered at this year's conference. To introduce myself, I'm an assistant hydraulic modeller at AtkinsRéalis. I have a passion for communicating the health benefits of getting close to nature. I have a collaborative work approach and enjoy bringing people together to share their experience. I do this through my own podcast called the Maximise Nature Podcast, which looks at the benefits of going outdoors. This episode is different to the previous conference episode, as it's the second Lessons Learned episode. I will be joined by a panel of 4 AtkinsRéalis guests to reflect on the 2-day Clean Water Conference. Dagmara and Mike will start with a feedback on model maintenance, a topic which Dagmara presented on at the conference, and you can check this out on a previous episode of the Maximise Nature podcast. We will round things up then with a general discussion by looking at the papers presented at the conference and to the future, where we can discuss what untapped potential still remains. Before we get into it, why don't we go around and give an introduction into who makes up the panel and one New Year's resolution to go into 2026 with. Dagmara, why don't we start with you?
Hi, I'm Dagmara. I'm a senior engineer at AtkinsRéalis, and for the past 4 years, I've been working with models. I've been building them, updating, and using them to provide solutions to the network, to Clean Water Network. We are at the moment working at automating the model maintenance process.
Him?
Yeah, hi, my name's Tim Balding. I'm an associate director in the London and South East team at AtkinsRéalis. I'm also the secretary of the Clean Water Modelling Advisory Group as well, so heavily involved in organising the conference and driving the committee forward. New Year's resolution, I don't usually make these, but probably to get fitter. I've got a few cycling events planned this year.
Sam?
I'm Sam Bingham, senior modeller from AtkinsRéalis, also based in London, the South East. And yeah, I've been in the clean water modelling space for coming up to about 7 years now. And yeah, similar to Tim, I don't have a New Year's resolution yet, but probably to do more running and get outside a bit more.
Mike, perfect.
Yeah, Pat. Yeah, hi, Max. I'm Mike Roberts. I'm Associate Director and I lead our clean water team across our North offices at AtkinsRéalis business. I've been with Atkins for 28 years and I have the pleasure of having some excellent people in my team, including Dagmara, who's on this podcast with us. New Year's resolution. I'm going to be boring and I'm going to say that the one about I'm going to have to look after myself a bit more as well, because not to put too much of a downer on it, I've had a few family shocks of people relatively young this year, so it's given me a bit of a kick up the backside to be healthier and live our best lives.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I think that's something we can all take into 2026, just look after ourselves that little bit more. Let's get right into the questions then. Model maintenance has been a major focus from the conference. From targeted updates to confidence-driven approaches, what do you see as the biggest shift in how water companies should think about model upkeep over the next 5 years?
I think from the conference, and what we know about water companies, I think we know that all the water companies in the UK seem to be at different stages in their modelling journey. Some companies have all mains models for every part of their network that have been fully field tested and validated at least once in the previous few AMPs, where there's other water companies that may not be all the way through the initial build of their whole region. So nevertheless, regardless of where those companies are, I think there's still something that can be taken from the recent learning that ourselves and other people in the industry have done when we've started to think about model maintenance. And the few easy examples I could think of was, the field testing. There's a lot of money spent on field testing historically, but for model maintenance, we either use permanently installed loggers or much reduced field testing. Looking back in the past of all the builds that we've done, we've seen, how many DMAs where we've installed 10 or so loggers in an urban area and all the total heads all exactly line up for those 10 loggers, and you then think, well, what did we spend all that money for? So I think, the reduced field testing that is done for model maintenance should be considered for companies that are still building, to accelerate that journey to having a full stock of models. I also think that a lot of the tools that people have developed and thought about primarily for model maintenance are also valid for model builds as well. I think stepping back and thinking about model maintenance has given us and our other professionals in the industry a chance to think about different ways of doing things rather than just trying to get the job done as quick as we can. Yeah, do you want to add anything to that, Dagmara?
Yeah, so from the conference overall, it was a nice surprise that, well, we were expecting that, but it was nice to see actually and hear that the water companies now, they are treating the models as living assets. So they are now switching from, oh yeah, let's build a model and use it whenever it's needed, to actually having them permanently upgraded and maintained to have them ready for any of the studies that needs to be done. So it's the shift from having a model maintained manually once in a while into a more organized structure with funds and people involved, the actual path that they're following.
What I gather from what you've said there is it's a lot more beneficial to have what we have now and just keep updating them so that we're not going back and trying to backlog into what the most accurate results are. And I think that's a really key approach across all in where AtkinsRéalis works. Several papers highlighted cross-region systems transfers and improving network resilience, which was another key topic at the conference. How can utilities balance long-term resilience planning with the immediate operational pressure that they face?
I think this links really nicely to some of the model maintenance as well. And if you can focus your efforts to the problem areas, and there'll often be the restrictions and things within a network that the operations teams and things like that will see every day, you're capturing that. And then you can consider it, include it in your long-term plans. And then you get a proper sort of investment plan then that deals with the today problems and those future 20, 25-year type investments as well, which is what they were trying to bring out in a lot of the presentations for that around that at the conference.
To round up then, with smart meters becoming more widespread, what new modelling insights or operational advantages are you already seeing in today's market, and what untapped potential still remains for this industry and the sector itself?
Yeah, so I suppose there's the smart metering rollout. There's a lot going on this AMP, and really the demand data that comes from those smart meters is something that could be really useful for our models, because our models are all really primarily based off demand. That's what drives flows and impacts pressures through the models. So any additional data, whether it's hourly meter readings or 15-minute, ideally, meter readings for customers, particularly large customers, would be really useful for validating our models and updating them and potentially moving to live modelling in the future. Yeah, I think the smart meter rollout potentially is going to be really useful in the future. It's just about how we gather all that data and process it, because it's potentially a lot of data to have to manage, bring into the modelling software.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely, the the rollout of smart meters is a really exciting thing in the for the modelling world. I think that was shown by the I think it was Crowder and Co. or Crowder Consulting, I should say. Who did that? Presented that excellent paper at the conference. But I think maybe the full insight, this extra data, could still be some time away due to the actual number of these smart meters and how they're spread around the network. For modelling, we do our demand analysis at DMA level. So to get the real full learning, you've got to have a lot of smart meters in one particular DMA, and I don't think that's how many companies are focusing the rollout at the moment. It may be a bit more haphazard than that. I may be wrong, but I'll be very excited to see the day when there's a lot of smart meters in single DMAs to see what we can learn from that.
I think one thing that maybe is a challenge at the moment, that when we are going to have a lot of smart meters, that the amount of data will be greater and greater. And I think the challenge will be to have some logic on that, to understand how to use this amount of data. Because I think the approach, like the small scale approach that you want to apply a meter data to a single property in the model, will not be reasonable. So I think at some point, as Mike just said, we will need to find a logic to translate all the amount of data into the pattern that will be reflected in the DMA level.
It's another piece of the jigsaw puzzle to get us into that better clarity and better models in the future. But I totally agree with Mike about the Crowther's paper. And we, in the future, we can develop much better demand profiles and things that we can use in our model, which are much more representative of what's actually happening out there on the network.
So what I've gathered from our conversation today is that we need to be data-driven, but also update that data as often as possible, because that way we'll be able to tackle not all, but at least attempt to tackle all of the challenges that we will face in the future, especially with clean water.
Yeah, definitely agree with that.
Totally.
I think so.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys for coming on the episode. It was delightful to sit down with you guys, even though it is virtually, but still. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Max.
All the best.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Max.
Thank you, Max.
All the best.
Cheers.